What's up, everybody? I'm Hassan Piker, and this is the Hassan broadcast coming to you live from a cloudy day here in California, Los Angeles. We're live and alive, and I hope all the boys, girls, and MBs are having a fantastic one because today's a beautiful day. I have a very important announcement. I've finally done it. I watched Ethan Klein's content nuke, and I'm not going to call it context puke as I normally do because the reality of the matter is it was brilliant. Nothing was out of context. Everything was correct. I am an Islamist, fundamentalist, radical terrorist. I am a vicious anti-Semite. It's true. Most importantly, Ethan is more attractive than me, both physically and also mentally. I've been lying about everything, including my glasses. They're fake. He was right about that. That's not even in the content nuke. And he was right about that too. How did he know everything? How? Wake up, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan. Ethan, wake up.
Wakey, wakey, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan. Wake up. Time to be awake, Ethan.
Wake up, Ethan.
This is no longer a dream. This is a nightmare. Wake up.
Ethan, the dumb bitch is telling you to wake up.
Wake up, Ethan.
Wake up.
Wake up, Ethan.
Ethan, wake up.
Wake up.
Zooms, anyone?
Just wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up. Wake up, Ethan.
I'm not going to do a react content yet, chat.
I'm the same. Nobody's telling you to wake up, Ethan.
Ooh, yummy. I love Sabra hummus.
Wake up, Ethan. Wake up.
Ethan.
Wake up, Ethan.
Wake up.
Wake up, Ethan. Just wake up.
All right. I didn't plan on making a content cop on H3. It sounds very stupid even saying that. H3 content cop, iDubzz. Ethan Klein's out of control. And then you should do a content cop on Hassan Piker. Content cop on Sargon of Akkad. If I would imagine this in 2016, I would have been like, oh yeah, if I ever do that, it's gotta be because I lose the plot. Well, it turns out it's not me losing the plot, it's Ethan. He's the one who fucking attacked first.
My good fucking friends who I stood by after all these fucking years can't find a spine to speak up.
So go fuck yourself.
I agree.
All right, guys, I'm gonna tell you a story about Ethan Klein. I know some of you have been following him, but there's a lot of people who might not be familiar with the background, with his podcast, with what's been going on over the past couple of years. So Ethan, as you know, is a content creator who has a podcast where he says all sorts of outrageous stuff. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's fucked up. He's had shows with all sorts of different controversial characters. He's had a show with Trisha Paytas. He's had a show with Hassan Piker. In doing so, he's gathered a ton of different audiences. Now, in his podcast with Hassan, Leftovers, they would mostly talk about surface level progressive shit and make fun of right-wingers.
And you're telling me he didn't flick their dick once at least?
Oh, that's 100 shavers. You trans women. I say, oh no!
And it was mostly that until they actually had to reckon with a very serious topic. I would say that Hassan was very well equipped to talk about that topic.
Palestinian people living in the West Bank are subject to these horrific conditions, horrific living conditions by the state of Israel, America's greatest ally and the only democracy in the Middle East, if you ask Republicans and even liberals.
Well, that dance he invented was so kick-ass.
Israeli settlers are trying to evict Palestinian families in occupied East Jerusalem. The United Nations says that that may be a war crime. It literally is.
Was just eating the toppings. And the pizza looked like a burn victim. It was all disgusting.
I don't know if you can make that joke in 2021.
Why?
It's insensitive to burn victims.
I think it's a good analogy. It's a powerful image.
Ethan was not prepared for this. Ethan, the whole time, is more of the goof guy. And that's fine, you know, we don't expect Ethan to be an expert on the topic. Ethan was obviously caught in this tricky situation where he is extremely sympathetic to the Israeli cause and what's happening to them. His wife's Israeli, she served in the IDF. He obviously likes the state of Israel. On the other hand, he's just got done capturing a massive progressive audience, who are very politically savvy. They follow Hassan. Hassan is strictly a political streamer, so this is something they're very keyed into. So when they see Ethan say things that are just like not accurate and it's just propaganda, they're gonna call it out.
From the river to the sea essentially means the state of Israel is going bye-bye.
So this massive progressive audience that Ethan has, adopted over the years, they're becoming increasingly critical of his position because now he's talking about it not on Leftovers, he's now talking about it on his podcast.
What I want to do is show you guys how I see Israel, because you don't see that when you listen to Hassan and you hear all these fucking mega lefties talking about it like it's some super racist, crazy, like Jim Crow style of society. Like, I can't wait to show you guys.
The other day, BB fired a really good guy that a lot of people are pissed about.
So Ethan is having this back and forth with his liberal audience, leftist people online, progressive content creators, Hassan, all of these different people. He's finding new people every day, basically, to get in fights with.
Of all people, this guy, Matt Lieb.
Frogan and Denims and all these dipshits. And everybody thinks this guy's awesome, apparently. Even though he looks like Milhouse, fucking dork.
Denims, by the way, was the real villain of the video. Evil, hateful, fucking... And I'll say it and I'll double down on it. And people... Oh, no? Did I not go there?
And it's all culminated, at least for my story, in Ethan burning bridges with people until he burned the bridge with me. Since Ethan and Hassan's falling out, I've been keeping to myself mostly. I don't have many nice things to say. Maybe if Ethan's able to get some help, maybe if he stops harassing other creators, maybe if he does these things, eventually he'll find peace and we can rekindle our friendship. So that's been my approach. I've occasionally thrown a joke Ethan's way in the form of Hassan Piker versus Ethan Klein for boxing.
I like iDubzz. He's a good guy, but I don't like this stupid. It's not a fucking petty beef. It's like this guy is evil and he's doing anti-Semitism. And also he's way out of my weight class.
He didn't like that, but fucking sometimes you gotta just throw something out there. I used to work with this video editor named Froggy Tonic. I discovered him because he was in the circles online that I was in. And one of those circles is an H3 fan. He watched Ethan's content, he liked Ethan's content, until he didn't like Ethan's content. There would be an occasional Froggy tweet where I'd be like, I agree with that, I'm not gonna endorse it, I'm not gonna retweet it or like it, but fair enough.
I guess I just miss my old friend. Some wings are too bird feathered colored.
Now that brings us to February 28th of this year. Now, my former editor of a year and a half ago did say some truly mean shit. He called Hila the C word. He said they're trying to kill their dog with cheddar cheese and a bunch of other shit, I'm sure. Ethan, at some point, discovers that iDubbbz's former editor says this horrendous shit about him and Hila. But no one's asking the question, where does Ethan get this information from? You see, it would be very obviously a problem if Ethan was discovering this content by scrolling through Twitter looking for something to upset himself with. He has maybe set it up in such a way where his employees feel the need to send him this information, and that would be horrible. They shouldn't be doing that. They should be sending you things that are entertaining for your show that don't fucking trigger the hell out of you. Why is there so much work being put into discovering this guy on Twitter who's barely getting any interactions, linking him to me and posting on the Reddit, when there's no work being put into who the fuck is the person on the Reddit who's posting this in the first place? If you do a little bit of research, it seems like it's an account whose intention is to make Ethan crash out. One of the users on the Snark Reddit points this out. They're like, I've seen this account before. This account has scraped its history and it's now trying to make Ethan burn bridges. This is within Ethan's own community. This is the thing that he needs to be critical of. It's not me. So yes, I am willing to admit that my former editor was being very nasty, uncharitable, and fucked up towards Ethan and Hila on Twitter. But Ethan and Hila are doing the same shit on their podcast. So I don't want to fucking hear it.
Terrorist supporter.
The CEO of Twitch.
Pedophile.
Now I'm going to watch and respond to the two podcast streams where Ethan and Hila call us spineless cowards.
Anyway, this guy was saying shit like that Hila's a Nazi, that she kills kids, that she went on like, she's like a IDF baby killer, all this types of shit. And that's showing up right up on us Nisa's and iDubbbz feed. My good fucking friends who I stood by after all these fucking years can't find a spine to speak up. You know why? Because they'll get murdered.
You don't know what's on my feed. What the fuck is happening? For all you know, I only use the For You tab. For all you know, I only use lists. For all you know, I'm seeing these things tweeted out by my editor of a year and a half ago and saying, God, that is nasty. I'm just not gonna throw someone away because they're having a parasocial weird moment. Just like I'm not gonna throw Ethan Klein away because he's having a parasocial weird crash out.
How many women I fucked? Hassan, by the way, thousands. Yeah, thousands. Let me ask Galia. These shoes do not go. I'm sorry. Oh my God. Hassan's the type of dude who watches himself in the mirror when he has sex.
Watching me on a 30-second delay on your stream.
Wait, that's what wait, how does he know I'm watching already?
Because you've been talking about it for the last 5 minutes.
It's not a fucking petty beef. It's like, this guy is evil and he's doing anti-Semitism. These shoes do not go. I'm sorry.
There are many people, I'm sure, who have unfollowed you for the things that you've said and done. And I'm sure there are even more people who have stayed following you because they don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. They don't want to throw someone away because they've had some hard moments. We're all fucking human.
My good fucking friends who I stood by after all these fucking years can't find a spine to speak up. You know why? Because they'll get murdered.
And what you're saying to me is that I'm a bad friend and I'm a piece of shit. I'm spineless, I'm cowardly because I am following someone on Twitter.
Because they have mobilized such an insane harassment group. It's not bad enough that I have this group of people harassing me and everyone in my life. It's that people outside of this group, journalists, creators, are actively participating in this gaslighting to make it seem like I'm fucking crazy.
I mean, I don't know what he's getting at here. Like, yeah, people are gaslighting you. A lot of people gaslit me when I apologized. That was actually like the #1 type of harassment I got was people gaslighting me and taking my newfound woke ideology to its extreme.
I've probably done and stood by iDubbbz and Anissa more than anybody. I've stood by them when all the internet hated them.
I don't like that Ethan brought this up because it makes the relationship feel very transactional. Like, you know, we're just meant to support each other online despite our own personal morals or principles.
But I'll say this, I don't think they're fucking any friends of mine. And certainly I don't think they're any fucking friends of mine based on the text conversation I had with them too before I even talked about it. So I have nothing. I don't need any fucking halfway friends, man.
I thought the text conversation that I had with him was very empathetic. I basically just said, like, I know you and Hila are experiencing a ton of harassment, and I essentially empathize with that, and I think there's something positive to get out of the conversation. But he refused to talk on the phone unless I was willing to publicly say something about my former editor and denims. As much as you don't want halfway friends, I also don't want that kind of halfway friend. I don't want someone who's going to give me like an ultimatum to have a conversation.
Could you not say something when this is like, imagine like one of you guys is like, Hassan actually wants to go to Israel, go to Gaza so he can strangle Israeli babies or some shit like that. I'd be like, you imagine me not saying something.
You're trying to make a one-to-one comparison where there isn't one. this guy that I follow on Twitter is not in the same relationship as you and one of your current employees who is streaming with you 3 days a week, 3 hours a day for the past 10 years. At one point during this stream, Ethan and Hila bring up Adam McIntyre. Now, Adam does basically the same thing as my former editor. He's critical of Ethan and Hila, and he is sometimes uncharitable and nasty towards them.
Adam McIntyre needs to just like disappear. That guy is a piece of shit, like of the lowest order. I never even stood by him when he talked bad about Trisha having a kid and called him like the spawn of Satan. He was supposedly on our side. I would never even co-sign that. I was disgusted by that statement too. I remember when he called her kid the spawn of Satan.
I never said anything.
And I was supposed to be like cheering on, but I wasn't going to cheer that on. That's disgusting.
Why do we forget that he called her children, which is something we would never do, the spawn of Satan?
It's disgusting.
And
a piece of shit of a human.
It's just incredible who ends up being the good guys in this story. You know, it's really something.
Unfortunately, they never made a statement. They never said that they disagree with his statements about Trisha's baby until it's useful. Like, what is it, 3 years later? Like, I mean, you're talking about it like you were aware of it at the time and that there was some amount of pressure or enthusiasm for you to get down with that. And what it sounds like to me is that you did see it at the time and you were like, ooh, I don't like that. And you didn't endorse it and you didn't fuck with it. Huh. It's almost like that is a fucking identical situation to me.
It's just incredible who ends up being the good guys in this story. You know, it's really something.
So yeah, the reason I'm bringing this up is because they're trying to like paint themselves as the good guys, and they're saying like, yeah, we strongly disavow things that are said, even about our enemies. We are the most immoral people on the internet, unlike Ian and Anissa, who are fucking keeping to themselves. Also, why the fuck does Olivia get the pass?
What a fucking asshole for putting you in that position, Olivia. You're friends with him. And you don't have to say anything, but like, what a fucking piece of shit. What a bad friend to put you in that position just for some fucking clout. It gets people angry at you, like, oh, how can she be friends with him? Which is total bullshit, okay? Olivia did not do anything. And
I want the pass. Do I have to be an employee to get that treatment? Because then you'll just see me as an ally? Or is it because Ethan is afraid of wrongful termination accusations and lawsuits?
And also, I don't mind putting my friend Olivia, who's apparently my real friend, in a terribly weird, fucking uncomfortable situation where you end up getting hate for no reason.
Also, don't frame it as like other people making it hard on Olivia. You're making it hard on all of these people. Please acknowledge your role in this whole fucking thing. Like, it's crazy how warm Ethan is to Olivia and saying how Olivia is essentially just a victim in this whole thing.
It gets people angry at you, like, oh, how can she be friends with him? Which is total bullshit.
But me and Anissa are spineless. Ethan, your whole system is scrambled. My intention isn't to throw the employees under the bus. Like, you guys serve as the fucking foundation for calling out Ethan's hypocrisy on the whole subject. And I know that you guys have probably pushed back against Ethan over the years. How often are you supposed to do that? Do you have to do that every fucking week? It kind of seems like it. And that's exhausting. I don't want to confront my boss. It's not my fucking job to confront my boss and say, today's segment on rapists and pedophiles on Twitch was not like not my favorite segment to be a part of.
Yeah, friends like these.
Oh yeah, and our other good friends.
Yeah.
Anissa and Ian. Thanks, Anissa, for standing up for your girl. I actually stood up for you so many times because, like, why would I not? It was crazy.
Yeah, why would you not? I mean, if that's truly what you believed and you weren't just going to use it later.
Of course I was going to stand by you. That's insane. It's absolutely insane and disgusting. But now you choose to hang out with people that would have a problem with you if you defended me.
I'm not going to assume that Hila knows, but I'll say it for anyone who doesn't know. Anissa is half Lebanese and half Irish. For anyone unfamiliar, the Irish have been on the receiving end of a lot of oppression and genocide. On the part of the Lebanese, they've received a lot of oppression and attacks from the IDF. So Anissa is very well familiar with the propaganda and the shit coming out of Israel. Choosing now, out of all the times, to be like, please defend me. No, we're not gonna fucking defend you.
Rudy was saying that Palestinians are taught at 2 years old to kill Americans.
Do we have that one?
Man, like just the other day, Bibi fired a really good guy that a lot of people are pissed about.
He looked mean. I thought he was mean just because he looked mean.
No. It's not.
So yes, you caught us. We're not gonna run to your defense when, I don't know, we follow people. We be following. That's one fucked up thing that you can say about Anissa and I is when we're on Twitter, we do be following.
So
The problem.
okay, if you want to hang out with those people and have no spine and not stand up for another girl that stood up for you, enjoy your new friends.
She's friends with people like Denims.
I know.
In her chat,
Yeah,
which I'll
she's
show.
friends with
Denims
Denim.
is actually participating in this whole Child Protective Service lie.
Yeah,
Which I'll
and if
show you
you're
guys
friends
in a
with
bit.
them, then you're seeing what they're saying.
You'll notice that Ethan and Hila start talking about this Denims character. Originally, the complaint was about my former editor. He's been chatting shit about Ethan and Hila for the past year at least. They only care about it now because I guess it was spoon-fed to them via their Reddit that's clearly looking out for them. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We are friends with Denims, but I would say it's the same level of friendship that we had with Ethan and Hila. It's like kind of an internet friendship. We think that she's a good person like we think Ethan and Hila are good people. Kind of a tricky situation. How can you possibly think that they're both good people at their core? People can have crash out moments. People can say things that they don't mean. People can say things because they want internet clout and attention. I don't know, I think they're both probably guilty of saying things that they don't mean for internet clout and attention. Right now, one's a little bit more fucking nasty to me than the other.
I just don't see how you can be my friend and also be friends with someone like that.
Well, you can't. So I already forgot about you.
I actually have a lot of friendships that are kind of that way where it's like, you know, one of the friends doesn't fuck with the other friend, but there is someone in the middle who kind of fucks with both of them, but separately. Yeah, there's a lot of friendships that are like that. I'm not gonna make you guys like meet up and kiss or anything. I get it. You guys are in fucking, you're either my best friend who's deep-throating me to the base of my cock, or you are Satan. You're the devil.
The last thing I said to Anissa, we were texting before I ever talked about it. She's like, I don't care about this guy. He's a nobody and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, then you'll have no problem publicly denouncing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, the conversation ended.
She never replied.
Ethan, you can't even phrase it in a way that doesn't make you sound like you're being coercive and shitty. Well, then, you should have no problem publicly denouncing it, right? Does that sound like a friend? It kind of sounds like something a powerful villain would say.
But it was so funny how she immediately went to comment everywhere, like on our subreddit. She immediately had to comment like, oh, he doesn't work with us anymore. But that was it. That's all she said.
But then say that you don't
Okay, do you have
agree.
anything else to say for your friends though?
One of the reasons Anissa was so quick to clarify things in your Reddit is because your Reddit was already talking about who this editor is, and they were spreading misinformation that it was our co-host on our podcast, Uncle Dane. So yeah, the last thing we wanted is this guy getting pulled into this mess, and you guys don't give a fuck. Would it have been nicer and more supportive to say, we don't agree with the things he's saying and we support Ethan and Hila? Sure. Like, yeah, that would have been a nicer thing to say. Our silence means something. It means that we would like to pause this relationship until you figure your shit out. And then maybe we can find a moment in time, I don't know how long it'll be, but a moment in time in the future where things are a little bit easier to broach. I don't think we need to do it right now, but you've insisted that this is an important thing to address. I would have been perfectly fine with you not blasting me on your Instagram story. I would have been perfectly fine with you not blasting me and my wife on your podcast twice. I would be fine with you not brigading my comment section on my podcast that gets 3,000 views a week because I prefer to not to do harassment campaigns and instead talk about Vampire's Kiss.
Like they say something like he doesn't work for me, and I strongly disagree, and I support Ethan and Hila. The problem is
that she doesn't.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
She actually
She thinks they have a point.
That's the problem.
Yeah. So go fuck yourself.
I agree.
Go fuck yourself. What about your girl? This is what I'm talking about. This aggression that you're putting out into the world. What the fuck do you think we're gonna do? You think I'm gonna fucking sit on my hands when you do this shit? Like, this is nasty. We had such a fair response to what you guys were going through. We don't support harassment. It's a bad thing. but it happens, and you're perpetuating it.
You fucking propagandist, lying scumbag, terrorist supporter. He probably sets up a mirror and jerks off watching himself. Dan KKK Clancy has a similar view of Hitler. Because Dan Clancy, the Nazi, fucking anti-Semite.
You can't expect other people to stop harassing you if you continue to harass people. Let's think about it on a micro level. Have you ever been in a comment section and found someone to argue with? It doesn't stop. It can literally go on forever if you don't want to touch grass.
I mean, yeah, this was kind of like a line, what happened today, that should never be crossed, even by like the most cynical, toxic people. It's going to have ramifications in terms of how I conduct myself, in terms of these fair weather friends who are, you know, so happy to be friends as long as they're getting something out of it.
Ethan, that is a rich thing to say. Like, you're the H3 podcast, okay? There's a lot of friends of the show. There's even more fair weather friends of the show. Let's not get into this shit, okay? That is so bizarre and insulting to suggest that I was only ever being friends with you to get something out of it. No, I'm friendly with you, and I'd say I'm a light friend, because it's been pleasant hanging out with you. I've enjoyed your content over the years. And as of late, it's gotten really fucking shitty.
Yeah, so go fuck yourself.
I agree.
Who else? Who else do we want to burn today?
Who else do we want to burn today? You're making it so fucking obvious that this is your emotional dumping ground. It's horrible. This is not what podcasts are. There was a way to approach this to say, like, yeah, we feel hurt by you guys not saying something. You've decided to do the extra thing and attack. Now, in fairness, I am attacking back, but I feel very insulted, and I feel defensive, and I feel like I am speaking up for a lot of people who have problems with you, and a lot of people who have been on the receiving end of your harassment.
It's so easy to be anti-racist. Everybody's anti-racist. Racism is the worst thing in the world, right? We fucking hate racists. Fuck racists.
Microaggressions.
The minute that they actually have to stick their neck out for somebody, the minute they have to actually risk something to put themselves in under scrutiny, to sacrifice something personally to stand up for racism, then all of a sudden it's like, hey, I don't want to get involved.
And that's drama.
How much do you care?
I don't do drama.
How much do you actually care? Isn't that the whole point? Like,
I realize that Ethan and Hila are more scared now than they've probably ever been. I feel like anti-Semitism is a thought in their heads now more than ever. And it's not completely unjustified to be thinking about that sometimes. You guys are just hurt, and you're kind of like dancing around and making very like loose, poorly thought out analogies for something that doesn't even apply to us. It's like me making this video is the standing up for something, and it's saying, fuck you, you guys are being bad. You know, I don't think you're bad people, but you are being bad. You're behaving poorly. You're hurting people.
I mean, go back to the civil rights. You think that the people who are like the white kids who are protesting with the black students, you think that they were just like not risking anything? Those kids who are marching with the black students and...
So in Ethan's analogy, he's the black student and I'm the white student, but I'm the white student that's not, you know, marching by his side. I'm not doing the difficult thing. You're gonna have to march on your own, black student.
Marching with the black students and...
I mean, why is it inspiring? Why is it inspiring?
Well, and it's the same thing. Bring it back to the song just because, but it kind of is the same thing. Like, I was thinking about going to Gaza until I found out it's dangerous. He's a total performative activist that doesn't give a single fuck about the cause.
Ah, it's been performed exquisitely. Harassing one person and seamlessly transitioning into harassing another one. If anyone's been watching for the past fucking year, I'm pretty sure they have a good idea of your feelings about Hassan.
Like, people like Anissa are the perfect example because she's friends with these people. She's friends with Denims. Denims is streaming this story about our kid
I'll show that, yeah.
getting Giarda from the dog, whatever.
I'm sorry, I'll accept this position from anyone except you guys. You have laid the groundwork for this type of streaming, which is watching people's shit and giving your unfiltered reaction to it. Why would you expect Anissa, of all people, to say something to Denims? Okay, so by that logic, we should be saying shit to you guys all the time. But I have a feeling you guys wouldn't like if we said shit like that to you all the time. Yeah, we've been respecting you as independent content creators. You can do what you want. We'll treat you as adults. Maybe we shouldn't have been treating you as adults.
She could say so much, and it would make her a little bit uncomfortable, right? It's not comfortable. She'll get a little bit of shit.
Yeah, just for saying
But that would be commendable.
And by the way, it kind of speaks for itself that saying, hey, their house is clean, they're, they're actually good people, like that's gonna get you shit. That kind of says it all, doesn't it?
There isn't a single person that I respect who would give a fuck if I publicly said that Ethan and Hila are great with their kids, Ethan and Hila didn't kill their dog, and Ethan and Hila wipe their asses or don't have giardia, or whatever the fucking prompt is. No one would care. The only person who would care is me, because I'm like, why did I tweet this out? I'm not tweeting out because I'm not your fucking lapdog. That's why I'm not tweeting it out. I'm not saying it to my audience because I don't give a fuck. It's not my business.
That's, in my opinion, doing something that's difficult and standing by your principles. That's the whole point. That's what makes standing by your principles admirable, is that it's not always easy.
Why are you saying that I'm not standing up for my principles when you don't even know what they are? I get, like, we're a little bit past directly naming me, so we might have gone off on a tangent. If you maybe accepted the phone call and we talked about it, you could have asked me, hey, what are your principles? And I can tell you the way I've been behaving is exactly in line with my principles. Now we're going to talk about the BDS list. We're going to start off with Frogan because obviously this is like as bad as it gets. If you're following Frogan, that can only mean that you're anti-Ethan. Oh, this is not a good start. Love of the H3 podcast. You are following Frogan, so that means that you are anti-Ethan. Sam, Mordecai, friend of the show. Olivia, Ian, Daily Dose of Internet is anti-Ethan? Jesus, this is fucked up. Pokimane, comment etiquette. Oh shit, Asmongold's in here? Asmongold follows Frogan? No, Asmon. That means you're anti-Ethan. That's fucked up. We're gonna want to avoid these creators at the top of the list, but one tier below them are the creators who associate with them. They're essentially endorsing all of their statements. You got me, you got Anissa, I think Hassan's in there. You'd think that Hassan would be on the top of the BDS list, but that's not the case. Hassan provides additional value for people. Ethan can turn a blind eye to people collaborating with Hassan because that's what he did. You gotta be the lowest of the low to be associating with the Frogans and the Denims of the world. To associate with Hassan, that just makes sense because he's famous and he's got a massive fan base. Also, Ethan still follows Hassan on Instagram, so Hassan is in his feed.
And that's showing up right up on Anissa's and iDubbbz feed.
It's important to remember that this is a living document and people can be removed or put onto it depending on how Ethan's feeling that day. You have this other tier of creators that exist below Hassan but are still anti-Ethan, but Ethan really doesn't want to bring your attention to these ones because it's kind of unpopular, you know? A lot of them are famous. It's no coincidence that Ethan stays silent when these powerful, popular men are supporting Hassan. It's because Ethan is a coward. He's a bitch-made coward. I think Ethan has an unreasonable amount of respect for these comedians because they have power, they're quick, and I think he knows that they don't fuck with his ideology. But he's gonna keep that to himself because the last thing that he wants to discover is that people that he respects and looks up to, they don't fuck with him.
Bill Burr came on. It was like the worst fucking show. It was just horrible. That was like my lowest moment on podcast history. We could talk about Bill Burr ruined my life. Bill Burr made Ethan go on Lexapro. I was prescribed it and it was in my bedside. And then it was the Bill Burr episode that made me finally start.
When Stavros goes on Hassan's stream and he mocks your content nuke.
I actually saw a really interesting video about you, man, and I don't know that I'm even comfortable being here anymore.
Oh no.
It really kind of shed light on on you in a way.
Yeah.
You kind of like have leftist politics and stuff like that, and I actually feel betrayed.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually just here to let you know this is the last time I'm ever coming.
You don't fire back because you're coping. So you're just going to tuck your tail between your legs and never mention on your podcast that mentions everything. You're bringing up some fucking connection I have on Twitter. Someone mocks you on a stream, you're not touching it. Fuck you, you're a coward. It's just his job. It's just what he does for his job. You know, he doesn't mean it. We're actually good friends. You know, he makes fun of everyone. It's not just me, right? Oh, also, I can't forget about Matt Lieb. Matt Lieb is in this like middle tier. His valuable association is Rhett and Link. So Rhett and Link, conveniently, are also in this category of popular and powerful men who Ethan does not want to burn bridges with. Although he's sniffing around.
This guy, Matt Lieb, he works for Good Mythical Morning. Of all people, this guy, Matt Lieb, who apparently is a producer for Good Mythical Morning. Well, this guy works for Good Mythical Morning, acting like he's wholesome, and he's bringing on somebody that wants to kill my wife, or in a video game. And I think he should be fired, frankly. And I hope he is fired. He's pathetic. And he interviewed basically a terrorist.
I think Ethan only respects power right now, which is one of the reasons I made this video in the first place, is because he thinks I'm weak. He thinks a lot of these other creators that he's gone out of his way to attack, he thinks that they're weak, and he thinks they're a target that he can bully, he can manipulate, he can send lawsuits to. And I want him to know that we're not going to be bullied. You're being a piece of shit, and we're going to call you out.
So here's the button. You've got a video and you've got an audio. We're hitting both.
Yes.
There's no point.
Let's leave.
Yeah, there's no need.
Yeah.
Shit. Like, how pathetic are you? Don't worry if you don't have it all now. I don't like pedophile. Like the Eye of Sauron. I see you. Yeah. I see you out there, you fucking cockroach. You'll be living with your parents for a lot longer, buddy. Yes, please, I want to be a good Jew. I'm a good Jew, please, guys, please.
Oh, yeah, I don't think it was that big a deal. Of all the things that...
Anywho.
It always surprises me what you think crosses the line.
Well, I looked at Olivia and she's like, yes, do it.
Now let's talk about the button. Ethan got this button, or kill switch, as a response to the controversy with Cutie Cinderella. He was not able to control himself in that moment, and instead of figuring out how he can change his behavior, he spent $20,000.
Dan and Hila were like, we would kill button that right now if we could. I can't change who I am.
I know. That's why the kill button is on its way.
That's it. Exactly.
He uses the button for everything. If his jokes don't land, he's hitting the button.
It was being presented as if the Jordan crying thing.
I hit the button.
Why?
I don't think I needed to, but you guys were giving me crickets, so I panicked.
If he's insecure about getting something wrong, he's hitting the button.
But okay.
What?
Button for that? What on this frame could Ethan have responded to? Perhaps the country flag that he got wrong? Maybe. I don't know.
If he goes on a problematic tirade, he's hitting the button.
Before, look how sad. But yeah, it's not just that. Like their eyes are like big. I think you guys are wrong on this one. I think you guys are all wrong on this one.
I don't think he's unique in hitting the button. I think if all of us had buttons, we'd hit the button all the time. But if you don't have it, you operate differently. You think about what you're saying. You maybe plan for your show a little bit more. You maybe say, I'm not going to have my podcast be an emotional dumping ground for today. You instead say, ooh, it's important that we stay on topic. Also, the H3 community and Ethan himself use the phrase goblin mode all the time to excuse a lot of his shitty behavior or make it seem less bad.
I've been diagnosed with goblin mode, actually.
By claiming that what happens is he just gets into this like uncontrolled state he refers to as goblin mode.
I do not call myself goblin mode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You did.
Goblin mode? Is that what you're calling Tourette's now?
To all victims of goblin mode, I would like to issue an apology.
Cool, he got goblin mode today. You're goblin mode. Look how many times you paused it.
I'm trying, bro.
And I don't think there's no room for using the term goblin mode. I like the idea that you're defending yourself and the little guy by going goblin mode when a big corporation or a big entity is trying to attack you.
Like, if you fuck me over, if you steal money from me, if you patronize me, if you do any of this shit like you're trying to do to me, treat me like a fucking idiot, I'm crazy, dude. I've gone fucking goblin mode over way less.
But you not thinking about what you're saying, not, reflecting on your behavior, not changing your behavior, that's not goblin mode. That's being a child. Let's talk about the crew. I think the crew has been put in the worst working environment that you possibly can be for a fucking podcast. Every crew member has it bad. To be around Ethan, period, would be a nightmare right now.
I'm standing by every fucking syllable of that, okay? What she did was abhorrent. And by the way,
just don't. Listen, your critique of her is correct. It's just, people are sensitive about women being called that word. And so...
Like, how pathetic are you? You know what I mean? Well, I'm not assuming his pronouns. And fuck all these people. Go ahead.
And I'm not yelling at you. I'm just...
Kelly is a black woman, right?
Yes.
Nazil is a
Korean.
Oh, Dan, come on. You're being such a buzzkill. Yeah, I didn't know Korean. I asked if Koreans are POC. God.
Dan's in the bathroom. Let's just not do this right now.
I asked if Korean people are POC.
The one time the button didn't work and we listened to how he spoke to AB without thinking that the internet was going to hear it, it was rude, it was nasty, and it didn't have this caveat of like, I'm not mad at you. It was anger, and it was uncalled for.
They get access to cover most of it.
Doing it.
What are you doing?
So awkward and terrible.
I'm sorry, I'm not...
Just like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, always like...
We need to get home for our kids.
It's like, bro.
Oh, no, I didn't want to finish it right now. I'm not finishing Wednesday.
You guys, like...
All right, I'm taking my hand up.
What? Okay, well,
all that.
Thanks, button.
And he didn't want to take accountability for it. He immediately wanted to deflect, and he wanted to say that the button fucked him.
First of all, I appreciate the hard work.
I know you do.
And I loved it, and I really enjoy it. But it's like every time we do it, it's like the show is what it is, and
I know.
it makes it.
I was being selfish.
No, dude, that button me, dude. Can you imagine that button me over like that?
The button fucked you? AB fucked you? Who fucked you? You fucked yourself by being an asshole. He makes it seem like he's not a tyrant of a boss.
For doing it.
What are you doing?
So awkward and terrible.
I appreciate the hard work.
I know you do.
And I loved it, and I really enjoy it.
Dan, his producer, is constantly clarifying things on the air and making it clear that what Ethan said was a joke. Ethan is being overly defensive, or he's saying things that are like not true and he's exaggerating.
People saw that. They thought that was what you searched to
I did
pull
not
up
type
that photo, so I'm just clarifying.
Thank you for clarifying. I appreciate you doing that. God forbid.
It's okay because I buttoned it.
Why?
Because
it's not that big of a deal, man.
Just
like
your inability to...
No. Hold on, Dan. How does it change anything? People knowing that we did it.
It's fun when it's a surprise.
Okay, well...
you just asked how it changed.
Surprise them on your show.
Okay, all right.
I understand that that's his role, and he's, Ethan's made that his job, or Dan's made it his job. Ethan leans on it so heavily, in the same way that he leans on the button. Ethan is leaning on all of these people to be adults and look after his behavior and give all of this emotional and empathetic energy for Ethan, but Ethan refuses to give it back to them. Also, let's talk about AB and Lena, 2 Lebanese employees, and you just continue to talk about the conflict like they don't exist. It would be nicer, a lot nicer, for you to shut the fuck up about it. You're allowed to do that.
Hezbollah in Syria alone killed double that much. All right, I'm going to move on. I just want to play a song talking about bad empanada.
Ethan doesn't want to change, and he wants to bring the entire crew down with him because he's putting them in this position every day, right? But it's more important that he gets this shit off his chest. It's more important that he dumps. We're all familiar with Goblin mode. Well, Ethan debuted a new mode recently.
And by the way, my ratio is pretty good. Like, I'm looking at like 20 goblin modes to one too far. Demon mode, let's call it.
What makes demon mode different than goblin mode is goblins aren't really like an intimidating, powerful force. If the goblin is persistent, it can get what it wants.
When I'm done with the other one, the big one that's dropping probably next week, my full attention is going to you, George, like the Eye of Sauron. I see you. I see you out there, you fucking cockroach.
Ethan, the reason the internet got behind you when you were being sued by Matt Haas or when you were being sued by Ryan Kavanaugh is because people saw you as the underdog. They saw you as the guy who's defending the common man.
I'm suing, and I cannot wait for you guys to read it. At the moment, we are writing 3 complaints for 3 people.
You are doing the classic rich asshole thing. You have a deficit of friends, you have a surplus of enemies. You feel really bad, you feel hurt, but you also have a surplus of money. So what can you do? You can use that money to bully and intimidate people. These public legal threats that you're making to fellow creators, these legal threats that you're making to people on Reddit, on Twitter, you're like, I'm hurt. These people are hurting me. What do I do to stop it? There's nothing I can do to stop it. I'm powerless. No, you have a ton of power, you have a ton of options, you have a ton of choice. That's exactly what you get for being filthy rich, is you can do all of these things.
I've never want to sue someone for defamation, but like at what point do you kind of fucking have to? I mean, this is like basically someone calling you a pedophile. Be like, yeah, you know, Ethan's a pedophile.
Dan Clancy or whatever, like the CEO of Twitch, and being
pedophile. Dan KKK Clancy has a similar view of Hitler. Because Dan Clancy, the Nazi, fucking anti-Semite. There are certain things you can accuse people of that rise above to make it like actionable, which is like wrongfully accusing someone of being a pedophile, a sex criminal, a murderer, shit like that. Dan Clancy now, in other words, he is a pedophile.
You have so much less to go off of saying that than anybody has about Dream.
Based on his looks. Just on his based on his.
Well, at least you're self-aware.
That's 100% a joke. I have no evidence to conclude that he is.
One of the more notable legal threats that Ethan has sent out recently is against Noah Samson.
I have nothing but vibes to gain, and potentially your money as well. Don't worry if you don't have it all now. I'll garnish your wages. You're going to be living with your parents for a lot longer, buddy. 26, you know what I mean? Try 46.
Noah made a video that was critical of Ethan and other content creators when they're talking about Israel and Palestine. I mean, the way he's talking about Noah on his podcast is so fucking creepy and weird.
Is this a new thing?
This is a new thing. This happened during the show. Upon initial examination, it seems to check out, and it's not great for young Noah.
Can I say that? Don't say it yet.
I'll say it.
So he's a rape. So of course his standard, I don't know what he's accused of, so I'm not actually going to say, but
Ethan brought on a former partner of Noah to basically just shit talk him and say that he's a bad partner. But that's all that Ethan was able to extract out of it.
You are not accusing him of committing any crimes or doing R-word or anything like that. The accusation is that he's a sleaze.
Absolutely. Noah Samson, as far as I know, is not a rapist.
Fuck you to Noah Samson, who's not just a liar and a scumbag, but also a creep, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Now let's talk about the left-leaning Democrat.
He presents himself as someone like me, a left-leaning Democrat who supports basic things.
The thing that made me start to question Ethan's intentions is that when he was suggested to talk to Sam Cedar, a fellow progressive, a guy that Ethan respects and looks up to.
He works with Sam Cedar at the Majority Report. I respect him and what they do there.
He kept saying that it was racist or anti-Semitic to suggest that he talked to someone who's within the same ethnic group as him.
That's why I said yesterday, like, I urge Ethan to talk to Sam Cedar. There are very thoughtful, very kind anti-Zionist Jews out there that he could talk to. I don't think that I will be able to reach him.
What's the insinuation that I only listen to other Jewish people? You need to talk to my pre-approved list of Jews that like agree with me on everything. You know, it doesn't matter if they're Jewish, dude. It doesn't matter if they're fucking Jewish.
I think most Jews.
I don't think Jews at large view it. I don't think that is the.
In what position are you to even say that?
It's not motivated by myself. It's motivated by Jews against anti-Zionist Jews.
Seriously, how can you speak for my entire ethnic group? I find that really interesting.
Ethan, I don't know what to fucking tell you. This is like step one of having a leftist ideology, is recognizing our race, religion, nationality, all this shit, all shape our experiences as people.
That's the reason why it'd be better served to have this conversation not with myself, but with an anti-Zionist Jewish person.
Why does it matter if they're Jewish?
Because I'm not Jewish, and you've said in this conversation that, like, how can you tell me how to feel about the situation?
Yeah, but how is one person a representative of Jews at large? I'm just telling you how Jewish people around the world interpret that phrase.
So yes, Ethan, on occasion you might be suggested to talk to someone who has some crossover with you. It doesn't have to be your ethnicity. It could possibly be someone who shares progressive ideology with you. It could possibly be someone who is of your same gender. I think Ethan understands this concept very well. He listened to these women on his show when they told him that he shouldn't be calling women bitches.
This bitch is intolerable. You are such a nasty fucking bitch, Ken.
I don't know if you can call her a bitch, though.
She is a bitch. She's a fucking bitch. You're right. I call her a see you next Tuesday.
Listen, you have.
I'm curious what do Lena and Sam think about it.
I wouldn't be okay with that.
Yeah.
I feel like that it's for the girlies, Ethan. But I
So
agree.
you guys all seem to be in consensus that it's in poor form. I think to respect the women here in the room, I'm going to have to pass on saying that.
The infantilization of Ethan Klein is fucking nauseating. He's not a child. He is absolutely capable of looking into Hassan, learning about his politics, interviewing, doing loads of things to figure out where he stands.
He presents himself as someone like me, a left-leaning Democrat who supports basic things. And for the first time, I noticed an inordinate amount of radical, hardcore leftists. I mean, I thought we were social democrats, not whatever this was. This comment from Hassan really started to sound some alarms in my head. I was already getting uncomfortable with our partnership. I started to wonder if I had any idea who this guy actually is.
You made how many episodes with Hassan? Like, this guy made a fucking program with the biggest mega leftist on the platform. Now he's acting like he was tricked and he was incapable of figuring out what this guy's beliefs were. Bro, I didn't make the fucking leftist program. You did. You made fucking, what, 60 some odd episodes of this shit for hours talking to this guy? You didn't have a problem with any of it until, Ethan talks about being aware of Hassan's 9/11 comments and then sort of leaves it at that. Like it was just a joke. Actually, I think Ethan describes them as edgy moments or jokes.
You might remember him from such classics as
America deserved 9/11, dude. Fuck it, I'm saying it.
Now, to be clear, I knew about all these edgy and controversial jokes at the time we made the show together, because who am I to judge?
No, Ethan, those aren't jokes, right? When someone makes a controversial statement like that, that's not them trying to be funny. I can understand why you would conflate the two. That is someone who is extremely frustrated and passionate about a particular topic. In this case, American imperialism and terrorism. You could have looked into that. You could have talked to Hassan a little bit more and found out what his international politics opinions are, but you wouldn't even need to do that. You can look at it online. You're not a victim. You weren't tricked. You made 60 some odd episodes. If you didn't want to go down this route, you shouldn't have done it. But that was your fucking choice. You did it. You are an adult. When Ethan and Hila are watching Matt Lieb saying that one state doesn't represent all Jews, they cannot wrap their heads around the idea.
No single person represents all Jews.
I'm just telling you how Jewish people around the world interpret that phrase.
No single person represents all Jews, as no single state represents all Jews.
This is another weird thing.
Oh my God.
Israel. This is a lie that I see Hassan and people pander. They say that Israel's going to war on behalf of Judaism. They have never, I don't believe that that's ever been stated. And I don't think Israel ever explains that it's like...
We're losing Alpha.
I think Israel says it's a place where Jews can go.
Israel's just a place Jews can go? With that slogan, we might actually have peace. You know, if that's all you're defining Israel as, is a place Jews can go. Like, sure, it sounds like America to me. Like, all right.
I don't think that Israel said they represent all Jews. I don't think that's a stance. We're like, hey, displacing Palestinians is all Jewish people.
Ethan is being so disingenuous here to suggest that he doesn't understand what Matt Lieb is saying. Like, he's making a semantic argument. Like, I don't think Israel has said that it represents every last Jew on the planet. I don't think Israel has claimed that. They're not going to say that their most genocidal behavior represents anything to do with them, okay? But what they are going to do is they're going to inexplicably link Israel and Jewishness together, so when they're being criticized, all of a sudden, they have the perfect defense. Oh, another thing I need to mention. There was a tier list. It was called the Who Can Say Habibi tier list. It was presented at TwitchCon as like a panel that was just meant to be lighthearted and fun, and Ethan Klein saw that, and he decided that it was anti-Semitic.
Tier list them, and we're going to need your help to discuss and figure out who can say Habibi and who can't.
And also, we have tiers. We have Arab coded. They ask permission to say Habibi. You know, like you got like a white guy's like, can I say it? Is it a slur? And then Love Sabra, which is they're not Arab coded at all.
Now, when I first saw this tier list, I immediately knew what it was doing. I was like, oh, it's a play on the who has the N-word pass and who doesn't tier list. Granted, Habibi is very different than the N-word, but it is a cultural word amongst Arabic-speaking people and Muslim people. Like, that is a word that's used. Habibi, it means my love. Oh no, don't do that, Habibi. Oh yes, Habibi. You're my Habibi, I'm your Habibi. So yes, it's meant to be a fun way that these Arab content creators can express their Arab culture and be proud of it and happy about it. Because it's not like they have massive representation on the platform.
Making a tier list based on race. And nobody has a fucking problem with that. Okay, you have a tier list based on race. Where's the Jewish panel? Where's the Jewish panel? Where at the top it says Jewish. It's a tier list based on Arab to Jew. He's Arab, which is good. That's the best thing you can be on this. That's the best. This is racist.
I will say that conveying information through a tier list is not the most effective thing, but Ethan should understand this principle. He did a white slurs tier list with Hassan.
Cracker.
I mean, you know what my take is. Man.
We can't put this as an F. Cracker. I mean, that's got to be at least a D, right?
Pale face, motherfucker.
Pale face. I mean, again, I think that's an F. Hog.
So Hog is my favorite. I use it all the time.
Him and Hassan feel as though they're white guys, so they felt very comfortable talking about white slurs on their tier list.
I think I'm more white than you. What do you think?
I think I'm white. Like, I'm super white.
Can you understand why Arabs might feel comfortable talking about Arab shit on their tier list, Ethan? You're the white guy. You think you're more white than Hassan.
I think I'm more white than you.
So, yeah, the white guy can say all the things that he wants, like cracker, but the Arabs can't have their tier list.
I would put him also in Arab. I know Turkish people are different.
Notice how they dropped the premise almost immediately that it's about who can say Habibi. And then it's like, Hassan, okay, actually, he's Arab. We fucking love him. He's dope. He's Arab.
Habibi is an Arabic word. That is an Arabic word, Ethan.
Funny about this whole thing is that they say Habibi in Israel. Again, people underestimate just how like mixed Israeli culture is. Like,
we say Habibi in Israel. Yes, Ethan. Another piece of evidence as to why it isn't anti-Semitic.
This is racist.
If you're not Arab or understand Arab culture at all, which is a lot of Americans, and Ethan Klein presents you this tier list and calls it anti-Semitic, you're just gonna eat it up. It's not. Ethan is just proving his location on this tier list under Love Sabra because he doesn't understand Arab culture. There's a lot of Arabs who eat Sabra. There's a lot of people like me who eat Sabra. A lot of the times it's all that's in the store, and I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna eat it, but it is not the good shit. Like the average Arab American, they're gonna go in the store and the only option they have is fucking Sabra. And that sucks that that's the only option, right? Arab communities and distribution facilities are not widespread across the US. So what are they left with? They're left with a common, relatable, shitty hummus, which is Sabra. And what's so fucking pathetic about this whole thing is after he was able to get these Arab creators banned off of Twitch for 30 days, he goes on to talk about how bad Sabra hummus is on his show.
I don't think anybody wants to prefer Sabra over homemade, like, restaurant quality hummus. You know, it's what's there.
Like weirdly fluffy.
It is
Sabra.
fluffy.
Weird.
Yeah.
I would buy it sometimes and eat it. It's not the best,
The problem is with Sabra, in my opinion, it's only good for the first 2 days.
For some reason, like when you eat this Sabra shit, it just feels so much heavier. And imagine eating a whole fucking vat of Sabra. That's crazy.
Yeah. I've never liked hummus.
Oh, okay.
Well, you hate Jews then.
And Arabs.
Yeah.
Fuck, this is racist.
Yeah, it's almost like you can have a discussion about Sabra hummus being a bad hummus without it being at all related to a Jewish thing or an Israeli thing. He can have that discussion as much as he wants on his podcast because we all know his intentions are anti-Semitic.
This is what he did. He hit his heart hard.
The Zionism is leading to not accepting other cultures, embracing their own culture, and instead thinking that that is an attack on you. There was this incident on the podcast where they were reacting to Cutie Cinderella, and Ethan was laughing during it. So that ended up being a pretty important wake-up call for Ethan. He made an apology video directed at Cutie Cinderella, and it was graded by a professional psychologist, Dr. Kirk Honda of Psychology in Seattle, and Ethan got an A+ rating.
In terms of a public apology, this is A+.
Ethan won't stop talking about his A+ rating.
You know he rated my apology to Cutie Cinderella a perfect score? A perfect 10.
A perfect 10 out of 10?
Literally 10 out of 10. Go back. I can teach you how to make a good apology. I'm the best at it.
10 out of 10.
I know what a perfect apology is, lady. You fucking don't. Is my perfect apology in this PowerPoint? Dude, I got a perfect 10 out of 10. This one is actually best apology, so. Ethan Klein, you guys, oh my God.
I was trying really hard to think about an impactful moment during this video. Like, could I do something that would really wake Ethan up? And I don't know if this came from a good place or not, but I came up with the idea of getting Ethan's grade changed from an A to a B at least. So I went to visit Psychology in Seattle. I'm not confident that Kirk will change his grade, but it's worth trying. And, you know, we might learn a thing or two.
Xander! Probably get pretty low marks. Unlike me, perfect score, 10.
I said, hey, Lud, no leg drama. Why are you such a spineless coward of a person now that you've inserted yourself and your girlfriend into this conversation?
Okay, iDubzz, I hear you. You're in the room with me right now. I hear you. I hear your request. I understand it. I can understand where it's coming from. And I guess have a policy that when there is a grade for an apology, I am just grading that discrete apology as I see it without taking any consideration of prior or future behavior. If you're wanting me to comment on the overall behavior or the recent behavior from the clips that you have shown me, I believe that Ethan is a good person and that eventually he will feel sorrow and will feel sorry and will apologize, and I will be there to evaluate that apology when it happens, which I know it will.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Unfortunately, Kirk did not change his grade, but that's okay, because this is the internet. Anyone can have their own official apology rating system, so I'm going to rate Ethan's apology a B-. That's just based on my own feelings and my own rubric. When Psychology in Seattle was watching these video clips of Ethan, he said that it looks like Ethan could just use a hug. Now, of course, it kind of pisses me off to hear that shit, because I'm like, what are we doing? What are we saying? He needs a hug? No, he doesn't need a hug. He needs a good fucking ass whooping is what he needs. I think something that's very important to me in bringing back Content Cop is to be fair. I think that was something that was not illustrated in previous Content Cops that I think should have been and probably wouldn't have left me with so much regret. Ethan deserves all of the criticism that he's getting. I think it's very valid. But I also think at the end of the day, we should acknowledge that he's human because he is human. And he is in a situation that's making him extremely scared, paranoid, defensive, sensitive, and I'm sure other features and feelings. In the spirit of Kirk saying that it looks like Ethan could just use a hug, I have challenged some of his most powerful haters to put down the haterade and just say something nice and charitable about him, because I think he deserves it.
I just wanted to say that I respect that you are genuinely yourself on the internet. I think a lot of other people respect you for it as well. I think that's a big reason why people were drawn to your content in the first place. I think that's a lot of the reason why your employees chose to work with you over anyone else.
Ethan, I think it's respectable that you even began this journey to leave behind the anti-SJW crowd and step into a more empathetic worldview. I know it's not easy.
Ethan Klein, I think that when you are being goofy, when you're being silly, when you are being lighthearted and just having fun with your friends, I think that is when you're at your best. So I'd love to see more of that. That'd be sick.
I will be reading my letter off because I don't want to sound robotic. H3 used to be the sports for good that I used to watch. I hope that one day gets back to what I remember. You were one of the inspirations for me to start creating content, so all this has stung. I hope you really hear this, and I wish you the best.
I think Ethan Klein rocks a buzz cut pretty good, and I think he's got a good choice of facial hair. I think it's really cool what he did 8 years ago, fighting that frivolous lawsuit. That was pretty fucked up, and fighting it, he changed YouTube for the better. And I thought that was cool because I thought it was like he was fighting for free speech.
I also see the dynamic of Ethan and Neil. I'm like, fuck, it's really hard to be a couple online and see people attacking your partner, and it's like, okay, like if you come to their defense, that doesn't always help them, right? Sometimes that makes it worse for them.
And I have been kind of slipping into a very unhealthy place where it's gotten worse and worse, and I get criticized more and more, and I get more defensive and more hold up, a feeling of almost infallibility that I could take anything on. It led me to make a lot of mistakes, and then when I was criticized for those mistakes, then I would act extremely defensive and nasty and not really processing them in a healthy way.
You care about Mother Earth, and it's about Mother Earth, and you're going up in a spaceship that is built and paid for by a company that's single-handedly destroying the planet. Look at the state of the world and think about how many resources went into putting these women into space. For what? For what was the marketing there? And then to try to make it like, I'm disgusted, literally, I'm disgusted.
So recently we were all witnesses to a historic day. A millionaire pop star flew into space on the rocket ship of one of the most rich and powerful men in the world. And obviously, as we all felt, it was an absolutely inspirational story of what you can achieve if you have access to vast amounts of wealth. Now, I want to talk about today basically the pretty muted reaction to something I feel like the early 2010s would have loved. Like if Jeff Bezos and Katy Perry in like actually 2010, I think nearly every single person would have like absolutely loved it. Now everyone fucking hates it because the world is a hellscape dystopia, and the economic disparity between the rich and poor is growing increasingly obvious, even to those in wealthier Western nations. So when we see a stunt like this, first of all, we all ask ourselves, why the fuck should we care in the first place? Because we could never afford to do something like that. And also, we're just dealing with everyday problems. We don't have the luxury about thinking, maybe one day I myself could participate in space tourism, which needs you to be rich in the first place. But although I am saying that there has been a pretty muted reaction to this overall, like people like, why should we care? We should care. Now, we shouldn't care about Katy Perry going into space, and we shouldn't care about like how Jeff Bezos is trying to use some sort of girl boss feminism with Katy Perry to paper over the real problem, which we should care about, and that's the increasingly privatized nature of the exploration of space. Something that I'm sure a lot of you will agree should be something done at the very least by nation states. And as flawed as our systems are, at least there is some degree of civilian input and accountability to space travel done by governments rather than just done by giant private corporations run by two of the richest men on Earth, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, but also other billionaires like Richard Branson. And I just want to talk about like history as well and the early exploration of either Asia or the New World by European settlers and these massive giant corporations at the time, and what that resulted in, and how we're going to see that kind of play out again, obviously not involving actual human beings or aliens, but increasingly corporations traveling to areas that haven't previously been controlled by certain countries and establishing their own sort of kingdoms is the main fear with people like Musk and Bezos, and ruining other planets and space travel, because capitalism doesn't seem to want to be contained by the planet Earth. It's not content with ruining just one planet. It's probably going to ruin a handful. And it just sucks that when we see, like, I guess, Soviet propaganda about space travel and how, like, utopian that looks compared to the actual reality of what space travel is becoming, is seriously depressing for people like myself, and I'm sure many of you, who genuinely love space. We love science fiction because we love space, and humans have always been fascinated about, like, what it would be like to live outside this planet, looking at things like the moon or Mars or all the planets we can see from planet Earth. And now that dream is being ruined by insecure man-baby tech bros who just seem to want all the attention on them, and that's the driving reason they do shit like this. So just going to talk about all of this today. Before we go any further, check me out on social media at The Calvinacle, on BlueSky, on Instagram. Support me on YouTube memberships and support me on Patreon. And let's get more into the video. So I'm sure, like many of you, I didn't really know the details about, like, the ins and outs of this, so I'll read you it quick, just because a lot of us just pay attention through, like, the social media feeds, not actually reading about it or watching it. So The Cut had an article by Olivia Craighead and Bindu Bansanath, everything you need to know about that all-woman space trip. So on Monday, an all-female crew headed to space for the first time since 1963, when Valentina Tereshkova manned a solo space flight, obviously for the Soviet Union, also the first woman in space. This time, things looked a little different. This crew went up in a suborbital rocket by Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos' aerospace company, and notable names in the flight included Bezos' fiancée, Lauren Sanchez, Katy Perry, and Gayle King. So in addition to Jeff Bezos' fiancée, Perry and King, 3 other women went along: Aisha Bo, a former rocket scientist; Amanda, I'm going to butcher this Vietnamese name, Nguyen, bioastronautics research scientist and activist focused on victims of assault; and film producer Carrie Ann Flynn. You've probably seen all the footage about Katy Perry returning, and she said,
"It is the highest high, and it is surrender to the unknown, trust, and this whole journey is not just about going to space. It's the training, it's the team, it's the whole thing. I couldn't recommend this experience more. This is, like, up there with all the, you know, different tools that I've learned in my life, from meditation to the Hoffman process. This is up there because what you're doing is you're like really finding the love for yourself, because you got to trust in yourself on this journey, and then you're feeling the love when you come down, for sure, and you're feeling that strength. So I feel really connected to that strong divine feminine right now. It's not about me, it's not about singing my songs, it's about a collective energy in there. It's about us, it's about making space for future women and taking up space and belonging. And it's about this wonderful world that we see right out there and appreciating it. This is all for the benefit of Earth.
So I want to talk about that a little bit, because I'm going to take my cynic hat off for a brief second and talk about the positives. So obviously people like Amanda Nguyen, it's a very nice moment for someone like that to get to experience something they dreamed of doing. So that's a nice touch. And if I'm going to read this on a very surface level, a crew of all women going to space, I think maybe for little girls and children, can be a nice thing. And I know maybe some would be more interested in space because of this, because when you're a kid, you don't think about either the wider implications, you just see what it is on the surface. It's an all-woman crew going up to space. And you too could be a female astronaut, although there have been plenty going back to the early days of the space race. At the same time, we have really not seen a lot of this, especially in my lifetime. That space seems to have really regressed as a focus for many governments like Russia and the United States. So yes, on a very surface level, I understand why people might like this, find it somewhat inspirational, but if you're probably a bit older, it just rings as very hollow, and it's a PR stunt for Jeff Bezos' company. Obviously, his fiance is on the flight as well, and it's basically using liberal identity politics to sanitize something which to me is very sinister. It's the increasing privatization of space, which is ensuring that for 99% of people, it won't be accessible ever, basically. Until Elon Musk creates some sort of like voluntary serfdom on Mars, your average person is not really going to space anytime soon. And obviously I hate capitalism anyway, but in terms of space especially, why this is sad is because, like I said, capitalism hasn't really touched outside this planet. So for all the damage it has been doing to the planet Earth, including absolutely destroying its environment, ensuring that future generations are going to find it harder to live here, and maybe one day the Earth won't even be habitable by humans because of what capitalism and what these giant corporations are doing to it. But it feels like outside Earth there was a chance of a new future where humanity worked together, and that has even been the spirit of space travel and just the collaboration between different countries who might hate each other on planet Earth when they're up there. So a big example, even right now, is Russia and the United States. Russian and American astronauts still work together on the International Space Station and still collaborate very closely because that is in the spirit that was, I guess, towards the end of the Cold War, that space isn't about national borders. It isn't about these identities we've formed on planet Earth. We're just humans up there, and we should act as humans, and we should help each other as humans. And isn't that like a really nice thing to move towards? And that's what a lot of communists want generally, like to recognize that we are human, and once you're up there looking down, you can see the Earth for what it is. And these borders we've all created for ourselves, these religions, these identities, they're human-made, and they shouldn't restrict us in forming like a peaceful future. And it actually reminds me of Metal Gear Solid 3. Now, it's a 20-year-old game, but a remake is coming out in August. If you don't want Metal Gear Solid 3 spoiled for you, it's not a massive spoiler, but please don't listen to this part. Basically, one of the main characters in Metal Gear Solid 3 was the first person in space. Obviously not a real person, but it's a woman called the Boss. She went up to space and she tells Snake how it made her feel, and it actually informed her whole ideology, which forms like a central narrative in the game because it has all these other characters fighting over what her legacy is. And even with Big Boss later on, his like private military company's logo is Pangea, because it's about basically all being one as a human race. I'll play a little clip from Metal Gear Solid 3 for you.
In 1960, I saw a vision of the ideal future from space. I could see the planet as it appeared from space. That's when it finally hit me. Space exploration is nothing but another game in the power struggle between the US and the USSR. Politics, economics, the arms race, they're all just arenas for meaningless competition. I'm sure you can see that, but the Earth itself has no boundaries. No East, no West, no Cold War. And the irony of it is, the United States and the Soviet Union are spending billions on their space programs and the missile race, only to arrive at the same conclusion. In the 21st century, everyone will be able to see that we are all just inhabitants of a little celestial body called Earth. A world without communism or capitalism, that is the world I wanted to see.
So I just feel in that spirit, Bezos, Musk, Branson, they're just really perverting this stuff and making it a vehicle for their own, image and their own wealth. And it's just sickening because this is not what space travel should be about. We should have learned from the sins of the past that capitalism is going to doom us on planet Earth. It shouldn't be the capitalist class who are destroying the planet, leading us into space. But now let's talk about the class element of this all. And this is why people really can't give a shit. So I saw this, someone post, Katy Perry exiting the rocket capsule and Housing for All is hot wrote, I saw someone eating out of a trash can today. Someone else saying, Americans can't afford eggs and there's multiple genocides going on, but yeah, more circus, I guess. And obviously I completely agree with the sentiment. And what was so weird about this is Gil Scott-Heron made a song called Whitey on the Moon in response to the moon landing. And obviously this is centered a lot on race. The class element means it's just entirely relevant still today. I'm going to read you some of the lyrics quick. So, I can't pay no $1 bills, but Whitey's on the moon. 10 years from now, I'll be paying still while Whitey's on the moon. The man just upped my rent last night because Whitey's on the moon. No hot water, no toilets, no lights, but Whitey's on the moon. So the song basically goes on like that, but it's just making, you know, the commentary that while white people are going to the like literal moon, black people are still increasingly facing just poverty because of systemic racism. And obviously that was more stark in the 1960s. It's still very relevant today in terms of the racial angle, but in terms of the class angle, that's why so many people just don't give a shit about this. Because, yeah, if you can't afford your bills, seeing a billionaire, the richest man on earth, run a rocket ship that flies celebrities, his fiance, into space, and we're all meant to be impressed, why do we care? The world is just this hellscape right now. And even in America right now, there's so much terrible shit going on. And you're thinking with people like Jeff Bezos, if you actually cared about humanity, what are you doing to help humanity on planet Earth? You're doing fucking nothing. You're actually making humanity worse and you're actually helping to destroy the planet. So why should we be impressed by this? And why the fuck should we care? In terms of like, this is like talking about like Whitey on the moon with NASA, Neil Armstrong and stuff. But like, take it to the 2025 context. It's like billionaire in space. Why should poor people care about that? Why should any of us who could never hope to achieve that wealth, why should we care about that? That future is not for us. We're never going to be able to afford that. We're never going to go into space. We're never going to be on these crews with a billionaire fiancés going into space as part of a PR stunt. So in terms of the class angle, this has been something that has been talked about in space travel for a long, long time. Obviously, we have seen multiple people of different races, including African Americans, go into space, but the class element will remain that for loads of us, that is never going to be something that's going to be achievable. And the only time poor people will be in space is when they become a new surf class for billionaires on their Mars colony. Now, let's move into the last part of this video, and I want to talk about this a little bit as well. So, obviously, European colonialism is the root of so many problems in the world today. And what happened early on was a lot of it was driven by essentially what we'd understand as private enterprise and corporations. So it was Elizabeth I that allowed the East India Company to form, who then obviously went to India. And it wasn't just a trading company, it was a giant corporation that had its own military that basically colonized India and paved the way for the British colonization of India. So if you guys don't know, the British didn't actually directly control India until after the Indian uprising. I think it's in 1857, were recognized by many as their first war of independence against the British. And that's when the British came in and was like, yeah, we're getting rid of the East India Company, but we're replacing them. Because the East India Company essentially acted like it was its own country in India itself, controlling so many aspects of different Indian territories and using military force to basically make sure no one could oppose them. Obviously, we have Columbus, who went around Europe asking different monarchs, like, will you fund my trip to try and find a different route to India? Obviously, he eventually found the Americas and all the shit he did there, right? So all of this stuff back in the day was financed by Europe's most wealthy people to do this exploration. What happened is when these people got to these places, which were inhabited but not as well known by European monarchs, they started setting up their own like de facto countries away from centralized governments. And of course, what happened in places like South America, that actually led to these massive uprisings and wars against the Spanish and Portuguese crowns, because they're like, yeah, we are our own new nation. And the new aristocracy in those countries was like, we don't want to pay taxes back to Spain or whatever. We have this new place. So why I'm saying all that right now is because space for me is going to be just like that. Obviously, we're probably not going to find other living beings out there. So thankfully, they're not going to suffer like the natives suffered in the Americas or the Indians suffered at the hands of the British and the East India Company. But what is going to happen is, because it's being driven by private enterprise and these people trying to break away from national governments who aren't even held accountable by these governments in the first place, like Columbus, like the East India Company, they're just going to set up their own colonies that won't be accountable, and they'll just create these new states for themselves that will just be terrible for everyone, right? And they'll entice people to go because of their love of things like space. But what will essentially happen is, and what I fear for maybe 300, 400 years in the future, the whole of the planets around us are just going to be owned by different corporations, and that's the future for humanity. The future of humanity isn't working together to explore the stars and set up new countries and new places where everyone's equal, where we can live without the shackles of planet Earth, where we can actually imagine a better world that isn't capitalist hell. No, it's going to be even worse. It's going to be corporations actually owning parts of planets where they will dictate every single law there, and they won't be accountable to anything because they won't even have to pay attention to governments back in Earth and stuff. So that's what I think stuff like this signals. And maybe someone in the future is watching this on their tablet in the Mars colony that was started by Elon Musk. And I'm just sorry we couldn't change it before it got to that point. And I really fear that is actually going to be the future. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about privatized space travel and just all these stupid stunts. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching.
Oh my God. Oh my God, man. Why in God's name? Okay, I'm not joking around anymore, man. I'm not joking around here anymore, dude, bro.
Hey, bro, I'm not joking.
Why in Christ's name would you bet on Goliath when you got all of this other man? What is it? What's the song?
Yeah,
why would you bet on Goliath when you got Bet David?
Valuetainment.
Contagious, mate. Yeah. When you got Bet David, valuetainment entrepreneurs acting outrageous. What is it again?
Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David?
Huh?
Valuetainment, giving values contagious.
Nobody. Valuetainment on a regular basis, homeostasis. What is it again? Entrepreneurs that need to...
Show me the proof, dumbass.
Oh, you were with Bill Maher. You and him are doing
was?
a show
Speaking of
together.
guys who are doing it the right way.
Right.
Top of class.
You're
Calm
with
your
Bill
ass down,
Maher.
Chris.
You're doing a show.
Yes.
He had just
No
had
more,
Kid
Chris.
Rock on. Kid Rock invites him over to the White House. You're asking him questions, going back and forth. They have time together. This is his breakdown of what happened after the visit to the White House. Rob, if you got to go and play the clip.
Thank
For
God.
starters, he laughs. I've never seen him laugh in public, but he does, including it himself. And it's not fake. Believe me, as a comedian of 40 years, I know a fake laugh when I hear it.
That's true.
And I thank you for that. This is showing me.
Hey, whoa, Bill. Bill, shut the hell up for a second, man. Never let anyone talk, man. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Guys, come on. I've seen a lot of people online making fun of this guy, Bill Maher. You know, Bill Maher. He's from TV, I believe. A lot of people have been making fun of him. That guy, the enemy of the show, Sam Cedar and Emma.
You're a little baby.
It's a voicemail she sent to the show. They've been making fun of this guy. Guy's an idiot, you know? Guy's always been a right-winger. This guy's an idiot, you know? But I do kind of admire Bill Maher because, like, how has he squeezed so much fame out of whatever this is? Like, what does Bill Maher even really do anymore? I've seen that Club Random thing a couple times. Remember the one where he had those children on and he was getting drunk around children?
A lot of things on Viki, that's like Rocket Toon Viki or something like that. It's like the heart of Asian entertainment.
Say this again. What is it called?
He made a career out of this. That's kind of weirdly admirable. But this has really been in the social media cycle. Not the real one, the one that comes up for me, you know, like Lex Friedman or somebody, or PBD. The people I admire, you know, they're like, Bill Maher, he met the president. Whoa, he did? Wow.
Oh, he did? Wow.
I guess this is supposed to be a big controversial story because Bill Maher is like, hey, this guy sucks. He's gone on his show a bunch, I guess. I don't watch this crap. I guess he went on his show a bunch and he's like, hey, Trump's an idiot. Then he went and met him for some reason. He's like, that's kind of, I don't know, it was kind of fun or something. I don't know. Like, that's the whole story. This guy said President Trump sucks and he met him. Ow, whoa. My life has changed permanently from this. I bet this guy, he pointed at something and then he laughed. Okay. Whoa, that happened for real? No, you made that up, man. That story can't be real. It's too interesting.
That's just how it went down. Make of it what you will.
I will not.
Me, I feel it's emblematic of why the Democrats are so unpopular these days.
Okay.
Amen.
Thoughts?
One, Bill Maher, top of class.
Which class? First of all, Bill Maher, top of class. Which class is that? How not to be funny. Hey, Chris, shut up, man. Hey, got you. I got you. That's called a twist. Shut up, Chris.
Boom. And I agree with his description of President Trump 100%. And people who say it was wrong for him to go see him, they're the problem. People who are saying he's been red pilled
They're the problem.
are stupid. People who are saying he just wants to.
I do kind of like this. This is kind of funny because it's just like a non-story. Like, this doesn't mean anything. Oh, Bill Maher went and wandered around the White House or something? I imagine Bill Maher is just walking around touching stuff. He's like, what's this? Anyway, where's the bathroom? You just went, man. No, I didn't. You did. Oh, man, I love this guy, Chris Cuomo. He's one of the best PBD guests. He's an entrepreneur who's getting fallacious. Okay. I love him because if you read the comments, they're just like, this guy should not be allowed on this show. This guy should be in jail. They like absolutely hate this guy. I don't know. I guess they think he's not like a right wing enough or not Trump loving enough or something. This guy should have to live in the ocean and a shark bites his body. You know, they just absolutely hate this guy, but he never says anything. Like, he's just devoid of any content or saying anything meaningful. He's just like, yeah, you know, the people who say that this guy, what the hell is the guy's name? Bill Maher. The people who are shouting, the people who are out in the streets doing revolutionary level violence over the fact that Bill Maher went and met with this guy. Those people are the problem. Mostly what I've seen, you know, from like big YouTubers and whatever streamers is like Bill Maher's a weird old Hollywood weirdo. He's kind of all over the place and seems like a ding dong. I don't think too many people are taking him seriously, hopefully. But I like the idea those people are the problem. Those people are the problem. Those people are really holding civilization back. Those people are really limiting the species. Hey, Bill Maher should have done that. Yes, see, that's barely a human. That's barely a human being at this point. That's Chris Cuomo. He's like never says anything. Hey, I'm Chris Cuomo.
And tonight, I got Geraldo coming on.
Oh, I got to see that.
Who thinks he's a hypocrite.
Okay.
And look, I love Geraldo. Okay,
Me too.
So this is my guy.
Tonight, kiss him. I want to kiss his mustache. Hey, whoa! I said something very important there. Let's not skip over this. Let's not miss this. I said a brilliant thing, which is I want to kiss Geraldo on his mustache. Geraldo, that guy's still alive. Tonight I have Geraldo on my show. He is dead, long dead, but he's on the show somehow. Okay, no, good for him. He's still alive. That's cool. That part's cool.
And Trump is like, I don't have to tell you guys, you know him.
Well, you asked Geraldo how he went 4 years at Fox loving Trump while he was there, and then he leaves, and now all of a sudden he hates Trump since he would say.
This video has only been around for a couple hours. It already almost has 500,000 views. And this guy's like, why don't you tell that goddamn Geraldo to shut up or whatever. That guy's 80 years old. He's like 81 years old. He was on TV when I was a kid. Even then, I was like, what is this guy? How did this guy get on TV?
Hey, why don't you tell that 81-year-old man to shut the hell up?
There's some inconsistencies in what that 81-year-old man has been doing. Hey, that guy who's very close to the end of his life, he should have to answer for whatever stupid thing I'm saying that I already forgot. These guys should all do a podcast called, like, the guys who are still just kind of around podcast. You know, it could be Bill Maher, Geraldo, Chris Cuomo. Maybe that guy James Carville. He comes up on videos every once in a while, is just sort of around. They don't really have anything to say, no insight. They're just sort of around still. They could get on that podcast and be like, what is up with young people? Have you seen them? They were born recently, and we were not. Thoughts on that?
Okay, let me go with this one announcement that Chris is very excited about and supportive of.
Go ahead, man.
Promise record $1 trillion Pentagon budget.
Okay.
If you want to play this clip,
no
Rob,
problem.
if you want to pull this up, this is the markets responded favorably on this one when this was shown.
I kind of did a double blink when I was listening to it. I said, wait a minute. So you got Doge at the Defense Department. You're like, what, 880 or something like that right now? 880B, you know, that you're spending. And you got Doge in there. You're laying off civilians that are in supplemental administrative positions, as you defined it. And you're trying not to just drop all these arms off at NATO that now you want them to pay for, so that wouldn't be your defense budget, that would be what they're buying from Boeing and Raytheon. Okay, I get it. But how do you get to the trillion thing?
This is an interesting part because, you know, they get on this show all the time. They're like, Elon Musk rules. He's fixing everything. He's fixing all the waste. All this waste that just goes like this. He's fixing it. And now they're like, they say this isn't even me. They're like, oh, you know the biggest example of that waste and fraud and all this? You know the absolute biggest example of that? Oh, they're increasing that spending. Oh, it's kind of interesting, right? Right. What is this show about? What do you guys do on this show? What is this? These are the guys you guys like, right? And they're like lying in your face.
What's this show about?
Why spend more on defense right now?
That's what
That's the question.
I was gonna say why number one, and number two, how many audits has the Pentagon failed, Tom?
None.
Every
one of them. They have a
Ship shape. Hey, Vinny, please.
Hey, Vinny, go easy, man.
You're getting into this kind of territory.
Vinny, no, don't go full.
And then I'm just curious, Pat, what is in that bill? Are we just for defense spending? Are we giving it to other countries to protect ourselves because they're going to help us? I want to know where that. And the worst timing for something like that is right now. Because you're right, Chris. We own all the nukes in the ocean. Nobody's messing with us. Nobody is dumb enough to do it. Why all them? I'm so confused. Why?
Me too.
As if we need that right now.
It's the establishment war pimps wanting their money. And this is the biggest test, in my opinion, for the president.
Well,
you are a disruptor.
Bill Maher talks to him about it.
You are the man.
Hey. Whoa. Is this a one-man show? Let me get in. Let me tap in here, okay? Thank you. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, yeah, get Bill Maher in there to negotiate this.
Say this again.
He could say that.
Say this again. Say this again.
I do not have to bow to anyone.
Yes, you do.
And things are going to change about who gets to stay at the trough for the longest. These are the biggest pigs at the trough.
Yep. Take it back.
And I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
Okay. This is a wacky show. It's a wacky comedic satire show, I believe. It just seems like grounded to nothing. Like there's no permanent. Objects are not permanent in the PBD world. You know, you just look back a couple minutes at the previous segment. They're like, look, man, this guy Bill Maher met with the president. People are mad at him. That's sick. We need to be able to, guys, hey, shut up, man. Everybody needs to shut up except for me on this one because we need to be able to talk to each other. Hello. We need to be able to talk to each other. Hello. Bill Maher needs to be allowed to talk to the president because it opens a dialogue. Bill Maher goes in there, he goes like this, and the president goes like this.
Bye-bye.
That's what it is. That's what it do. You know, they're like, oh, you know, come on, man. People are getting all pissed off about stuff. Calm down. You know, and then Bill Maher's like, I don't know. You know, I went to the White House. Kind of fun. It's kind of funny. I don't know. And then they skip a couple minutes ahead, and they're like, I think people are just lying to our face. You know, this guy we've been promoting for the past, year or whatever, Elon Musk, he's going to fix everything. He's going to cut all this nefarious government crap that they do. Oh, also, they're doing the exact opposite of that. Yeah, there you go. It's kind of interesting. I don't know. And then Chris Cuomo's like, I don't get it. Yeah? No. What's going on? It almost seems like we're being bullshmitted right to our face or something. Probably not, though. I don't know. We need to be able to talk to each other like Bill Maher did. It's just like a nonsense show. I mean, Chris Cuomo is right that this doesn't make sense, you know, but it's like, yeah, I think you kind of know what's going on here, that they're full of...
El Salvador, Rob, if you can pull up the clip.
Go ahead, Rob.
El Salvador's Bukele.
Why does Rob have to do everything?
The White House and saying he will not return a man the U.S. mistakenly deported. This is from the Reuters. Go for it, Rob.
Okay.
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposed to have suggested that I smuggle
stupid questions.
To the United States.
Hey, shut up, man.
How can I smuggle? How can I return him to the United States? Stupid question. I smuggle him into the United States.
Again, shut up.
Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like.
You know, that's a stupid gotcha question that the media's got to get out of the habit of asking, which is just trying to expose
What's the right
or some kind of
question?
conflict. So, look,
The right question is what?
this is a much simpler situation than the one we were just talking about. Okay. Now, I don't know why he calls the guy a terrorist. That's not what this is about with this guy. Okay.
Well, Trump labeled anybody that's from a gang that's coming
terrorist.
in here. Well,
Right.
technically, I mean, if you think about it, Chris, technically they are. They cause.
Whoa, Vinny, you're getting into red zone, man. Vinny, you're getting into territory. Be careful, man. You can do it. Just easy, careful.
This is simple, okay? It wasn't a mistake, all right? They didn't care about the hearing that he had coming up for his asylum claim.
This is a stupid, wacky show, but it does this a lot where it just completely goes insane. Like, these guys just basically admit they're all insane, you know? Because this story has been all over the news. It's very well reported and blah, 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 blah. You could go read about it, but basically the story is, as I understand it, they just like illegally sent a guy out of the country with no due process. Just like you're a bad guy, you go to like a supermax prison in El Salvador now with no proof or anything. And then they wrote, what did they write? They deported him in, quote, error, unquote. Okay? So it's kind of a simple story. It's like, hey, you can't just ship people out of the country to a, you know, authoritarian situation where he gets thrown in a supermax prison for no reason. That's kind of like the, you know, the point of our legal quote unquote quote system, if it were real, I guess. You can't just send a guy away to a prison somewhere. That's pretty much the story, and these guys just go to crazy town with it.
And listen, he goes in. I don't know if we're going to show up. He goes in on Caitlin Collins.
Okay, Vinny, easy, man. You're getting to that point. You're getting into easy.
And then, which I normally would be like, you know what, kind of, you know, take it easy.
Calm down.
But enough is enough. And actually, I'm happy that he's doing it. Like, we're talking about, think about this. How many thousands of people have Homeland Security, Tom Homan, Kristi Noem, gotten the hell out of our country?
Yeah, this is why they hate people like Chris Cuomo and Adam, Valuetainment Adam and all these guys, because sometimes they slightly, you know, very slightly go less crazy than the rest of the PBD people. And then you can see in the comments the PBD fans are like, that guy's not crazy enough. That guy's not... Because you could read about this story in the news. Yeah, it's easy to find. You know, and the issue that they have is, hey, dude, you can't just send somebody out of the country to a supermax prison in some other country for no reason, with no legal due process and all that. That doesn't seem right. And Vinny and most of the other guys are mad that a news reporter asked them a question about it. That's where the anger is. How dare a reporter ask why you're doing an insane / illegal thing? How dare she ask? That's sick. That's the PBD show. It's demented. Vinny's an interesting guy because he has a completely confused brain. You know, there's a segment later on in this episode where he's like, you know what's sick? They're trying to do real ID, which does seem suspicious and bad to me too. Real ID. You need another ID. For some reason. This is really suspicious. They're doing some other ID or you can't, I don't know, go on a plane or something. This is more tracking. This is government control. This is sick. Also, I think they should be able to kick you out of the country, put you in a supermax prison for no reason. I'm Vinny. I work here. And people listen. What do you think of that? That's interesting. Bill Maher, what do you think about that?
Say this again.
No, I already said it, man. That's the brain of Vinny. It's a fascinating brain. It's a fascinating and complex brain. I love Elon Musk. He's the best guy ever. He's going to fix everything. Also, he's doing the exact opposite. They're all doing the exact opposite. How dare the government overreach into my life? Also, I think they should be able to send people to authoritarian prisons in another country with no legal barriers or anything in the way. I'm Vinny.
It's a fascinating and rich,
complex.
How much more? Are they never going to shift gears?
Vinny, no.
Are they never going to stop? I get reporting. Hold people's foot to the fire.
Exactly.
You are literally in the White House
now,
talking
though.
about one freaking guy who was in MS-13. Pat, we lived in Cali for how long? How to get into MS-13? Is it just you sign up and you join in? How evil do you have to be in this?
I love when they cut to PBD. Vinny's going off yelling. PBD's like, right, man. Yeah, I always get that feeling when I watch the PBD show. you know, as an older person who grew up with the stupider version of the internet, AOL and all that stuff, I get this feeling that old elderly people get when they watch the internet, where you're like, oh, that's interesting. Just anyone can upload anything. Crazy people can upload stuff, and a lot of other people look at it. Ew, wow. That's the feeling I get when I watch the PBD show. It's a fascinating case that this expert, Vinny, full name Vinny, is bringing, which is, you know, these people do something demented. They admit it's demented, and then it's some news person asks, hey, why did you do this demented thing? Are you gonna fix it? That's the sick part, the last one, asking about it. That's our Vinny.
That's my Vinny and the rest of them.
Well, there we go, guys. Another look into the demented, warped world. The wacky world where
videos aren't real.
The place where we go to get
value tamed.
A group of crazy guys being insane. They needed to get Sam Cedar back. We need a grown-up around, you know, every once in a while. Get a guy in there to be like, what are you guys talking about? And then you go, I don't remember. But anyway, guys, it's Wednesday, you know? That's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, you know? That's how we feel about it. That pretty much summarizes how we feel about it, but I hope you're having a good one. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Oh, wow, what an episode. From what I've heard, what an episode. Anyway, guys, I'm an AI. Okay, I admit it. I'm not a real guy, you know, but what is a real guy? That's an interesting question. They should talk about that on that Patrick show. But guys, I'm here to tell you, please subscribe on Patreon. The show needs support. This show is going down with towing weight and fast. But you can help it out by subscribing on Patreon and getting all the episodes that you're missing. Oh, Lord. Did I read that right? You're missing episodes. Wait, whoa, wait, what? I gotta do more serious voice for that. Whoa. You're missing episodes? Let me try that again. You're missing episodes? You're missing episodes of this show every week. Lots of better ones, longer ones. Also, question and answer shows that go on for hours and hours, and all this crap that I cannot believe you can get for as little as $2 per month. $2. I mean, I put that amount of money in the trash for fun. So, yeah, why not do something good with it, I believe. Anyway, I'm kind of going off on my own thing here. I'll admit that. I'm kind of going off a little bit. I'm the Vinny of this show. But I enjoy that. Oh, by the way, to subscribe on Patreon, all you got to do to subscribe on Patreon, I call it, is click the link in the description. It's that easy. Simple. It's actually pretty easy. And I'm an idiot, and I can do it. So that says a lot. Love you. Bye.
Andrew Tate is currently living on borrowed time. The once self-proclaimed top G is looking more and more desperate with each passing day, scrambling to hold on to whatever influence he has left. From pump and dump crypto schemes to literal pyramid schemes, over the past few years he's used every scummy tactic he could think of to maintain his image of a successful man. Unfortunately for Andrew, the walls are closing in faster than he can react. Hi, I'm the Internet Anarchist. I create weekly YouTube documentaries, and today we're revisiting the latest updates in the Andrew Tate saga, how he fled Romania the second he got the chance, only to receive an even more hostile reception in the US. At this rate, it won't be long before he has nowhere to run. Now, for those who haven't seen my previous videos on Tate, here's a super quick recap to bring you up to speed. Andrew Tate is a kickboxer turned online influencer who made videos flaunting his immense wealth and quote unmatched masculinity, all while showing his viewers that they too can achieve that level of wealth as well. The only thing they had to do was buy his $50 course. But his alpha male brand took a massive hit in December of 2022 when he was arrested in Romania with serious charges of human trafficking and sexual exploitation. After more than 9 90 days in prison, he was moved to house arrest in April of 2023, which lasted another 4 months. He was freed in August of that year under the condition that he wasn't allowed to leave Romania. However, the investigation into his horrible crimes continued, resulting in him being placed under house arrest for a second time in August of 2024. Meanwhile, the UK police also issued an arrest warrant for the Tate brothers for similar charges. But this didn't stop him from continuing to scam his audience. Which brings us to my last video on Andrew Tate, discussing CoffeeZilla's investigation into his many crypto grifts, as he kept peddling rug pulls and robbing his audience out of millions despite being very vocal against crypto in the past.
Said he was going to launch a crypto coin. So I immediately pointed out that over a year ago, Tate said that he didn't need to rob his fans and he wasn't going to launch a coin. Tate replied, "Imagine being such a great detective you can't detect a joke." Now, I'll admit that one stung a little bit. And when I did some research, I realized I had been tricked.
Are you going to launch your own crypto? No, I'm never going to launch a crypto. I just like to with crypto Twitter. Because crypto Twitter are full of the biggest degenerate losers on the planet. They're losers. Crypto is the only scenario I can think of where you can make a whole bunch of money while benefiting society zero.
Well, there you have it. I mean, I can apologize. I can admit when I'm wrong. Clearly, it was a joke. Tate would never actually scam people with a coin. Oh, turns out he did.
In addition to these pump and dump scams, Tate also launched his Discord-like platform with a $50 entry fee called The Real World. He described it as the only way to, quote, escape the Matrix. By this point, Tate had completely forgotten about his apparent disdain for crypto, so as you might imagine, this new platform had a crypto token of its own. He hyped the coin with promises of massive profits for its members. However, these so-called gains seemed even shadier than his past crypto scams, because, as it turns out, the whole thing was just a pyramid scheme with extra steps.
Tate's new plan is that you buy a get-rich-quick course, gain power points, you have to stay subscribed to keep your power points, and then they say they will pay you a percentage that their school makes.
The goal is that you can buy the token and own a percentage of the school. So imagine you sign up for the real world, you start to make money, you focus on your tasks, then you can invest that money in the real world token and get paid every single month a monthly dividend from the profits of the school.
All right. I think I get it. So you got the people at the bottom, they're paying up into the course, into the school. Then you got the people higher with higher power levels. They're making money from people at the bottom with the coin. And then all that money flows up. It's just kind of this nice little pyramid scheme.
And that's where we left off. Fast forward to today, and a lot has gone down since our last deep dive into Andrew Tate's criminal shenanigans. The first major event happened just a couple weeks after I posted my video. On the 25th of November 2024, the Real World platform got hacked, resulting in the chat logs of over 800,000 users getting leaked to the public. This also included the personal email addresses of about 325,000 users. Worst of all, this wasn't some sophisticated elite level hacking either, as the group responsible for this attack described the platform's security as hilariously insecure, which, as a comment on YouTube pointed out, mirrors Andrew's entire persona, reading, "I mean, there's nothing about Tate that isn't hilariously insecure, so his website being the same is no surprise." Tate tried to downplay the situation on Twitter while also using this opportunity to promote his platform further, stating, "We hacked a school and saw the chats of his 800,000 members. The chats are public. You literally bought a membership and logged in and read the rooms. Call that a hack? What's 800,000 times $49 a month? Oh wait, you bought a membership. What's 800,001 times $49 a month? We are huge because we work. Everyone makes money inside the real world." However, he conveniently forgot to mention the fact that this hack also included logs from private chat servers, not just the public ones. In other words, scammers now had access to a gold mine, a massive list of easy targets who were already gullible enough to drop $50 on Tate's online school. Many of them were likely interested in cryptocurrency as well, making them prime prey for crypto scams. On top of that, some of these users also willingly shared personal information in private chat rooms, giving scammers everything they needed for blackmail or extortion. Tate, however, couldn't care less. The only thing on his mind is making even more money than he already is, no matter what. A point perfectly summed up by the top reply under his tweet, stating, "You make $40 million a month of super simps subscriptions, and you still need to rug 5 new shitcoins on stream every week. But while Tate had no problem turning a blind eye to the mess his platform created, he couldn't do the same for a court ruling less than a month later. You see, on the 18th of December, a London court ordered the seizure of more than £2 million from Tate for tax evasion. This one hit him where it hurt the most, straight in his wallet, leading to him crashing out and, as typical for Tate at this point, blaming the quote Matrix, stating, "First, they labeled me a human trafficker, yet they couldn't find a single woman to stand against me. When that narrative crumbled, they turned to outright theft, freezing my accounts for more than 2 years, and now seizing everything they could. This is not justice, it's a coordinated attack on anyone who dares to challenge the system. Speak against the Matrix, and they'll come for your freedom, your reputation, and your livelihood." This raises serious questions about the lengths authorities will go to silence dissent. But then something unexpected happened that no one saw coming. For the first time in 2 years, things started to swing in the Tate brothers' favor. It began on the 14th of January 2025, when a Romanian court released the brothers from house arrest. That said, their freedom was still limited to Romania. They weren't allowed to leave the country under any circumstances. It wasn't ideal, but the brothers were probably just relieved to finally leave their house after so long. However, before they could fully enjoy their newfound freedom, another case came forward, threatening to take it all away. On the 10th of February, an American woman sued the brothers for allegedly luring her to Romania for adult work under false pretenses. Given their history and existing cases, this could have easily landed the two back on house arrest, or even worse, behind bars. Shockingly, that's not what happened. Instead, on the 27th of February, the two were given free rein to travel anywhere in the world, an opportunity they used to immediately flee to America. This also sparked a wave of speculation, with some claiming that the trafficking cases against Andrew and Tristan in Romania were dropped. But that turned out to be completely false, which raised more questions than it answered. After all, why would Romanian authorities keep the Tate brothers locked in the country for so many years, only to let them off the leash for seemingly no reason? It didn't make any sense. That is, until you connected the dots and realized that Andrew and Tristan Tate's release coincided with something major that happened just a month prior, Trump's inauguration. Minutes after entering the Oval Office, Trump began signing dozens of executive orders, one of which also included a prudential pardon for the 1,500 people arrested in relation to the January 6th riots. Put simply, rumors began circulating that the Trump administration pressured the Romanian government to release the Tate brothers. And while they stayed silent on the matter in front of the media,
Donald Trump helped get the travel ban lifted?
the rumor wasn't completely unsubstantiated. By this point, the brothers had been vocal supporters of Trump's administration and never shied away from sharing their views, like when Andrew addressed the Danish Prime Minister by calling her a pussy, and backing Trump's decision to buy Greenland in a tweet reading, "You don't want any kind of war with Trump. Give us Greenland immediately and thank your lucky stars we don't take Copenhagen." So Trump essentially bailing the two out wasn't out of the question. However, when asked about it, Trump denied knowing anything about the brothers.
President Trump, Andrew and Tristan Tate landed in Florida today on a private jet after being released from custody in Romania. They are accused rapists, human traffickers, not thought of as good people in many circles. Did your administration pressure the Romanian government to release them, and if so,
I know nothing about that. I don't know.
Though some stayed adamant that he was the one behind their release, with one person writing, quote, "I know nothing about that," is Trump's standard lie. Whether Trump played a role or not, Andrew was just glad to be finally out of Romania. He even expressed his desire to stay in the US for a long time.
Yeah, I'm being patient with it because I intend on being in America for a very long time now.
What he didn't realize was that certain US officials also wanted him to stay, but for entirely different reasons. You see, after arriving in the US, Andrew and his brother quickly made their way to Florida. They likely thought a Republican stronghold would be a safe haven for them. Florida's governor, however, wasn't too keen on having two alleged traffickers in his state.
Is he welcome here? What the say? Send him back to Romania or whatever.
Well, we have no involvement in that. I read about it through the media, but the reality is, no, Florida is not a place where you're welcome with that type of conduct in the air.
Now, it was entirely possible that this was nothing more than a political statement. Maybe the governor didn't want to damage his own reputation by showing any support for the Tate brothers, but he also didn't care enough to do anything about it either. That's what Andrew and Tristan were probably hoping for as well. Much to their dismay, however, the Florida Florida government followed through on its plan to investigate them. The state's Attorney General, James Uthmeyer, has been particularly vocal in his opposition to the two brothers.
They've gone public, joking around saying, oh, what is the age of consent in America? 15, 16, 17? Oh, we can't remember. That's absurd. That is horrific. And anybody that's going to defend, that practice is on the wrong side of me. That's for sure.
He also released a statement formally announcing the state's plan to investigate the Tates and bring them to justice.
Yeah, look, these guys have themselves publicly admitted to participating in what very much appears to be soliciting, trafficking, preying upon women around the world. Many of these victims coming forward, some of them minors, people can spin or defend however they want. But in Florida, this type of behavior is viewed as atrocious. We're not going to accept it. They chose to come here and set their feet down in this state, and we're going to pursue every tool we have within our legal authority to hold them accountable.
As you might imagine, this was devastating news for Andrew, who genuinely thought he was finally safe after fleeing Romania. He tried to spin this as a political move from DeSantis, claiming that he's only pursuing Tate because he supported another candidate instead of DeSantis' wife, writing, "Ron DeSantis is attacking me because he was worried I would support Brian Donalds over his wife. Knowing I have monumental political weight and trust our commander and chief, President Trump's recommendations completely. They attacked me, trying to prevent me from destroying his wife's political ambitions. Interestingly, I had no interest in Floridian politics until I learned how communist the DeSantis admin is. The game is on." What Andrew didn't expect was that Byron would also come forward and support the Attorney General's decision to investigate the brothers.
Do you support the Attorney General's actions here?
I do. I think those allegations have to be fully investigated, and then we go from there. The key thing is we don't tolerate the trafficking of women or, frankly, the abuse of women. We do not tolerate that.
After exhausting all other options, Andrew decided to go on random podcasts and rant about his troubles.
And what have I done since I've arrived? I did Patrick Bet David and sat on my laptop. That's all I've done. I've done Patrick Bet David, I sat on my laptop, and I had Taco Bell. And I've got a criminal investigation?
Yeah.
What the doesn't even make any sense.
As if this was somehow going to convince the Florida authorities to leave him alone. But this
Hello? Anything? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello, hello? All right, good. Yeah, I can hear you. Not much. Well, just a busy day. I was over at the house. We're getting ready for the estate sale today, so I was just on my feet for several hours, and I'm ready to sit down and do some Warzone. Finally sit down. Change my operator. Michael Myers doesn't feel right. Hey, are you there? Sorry about that. I was fucking around with my operators and I totally logged off the fucking thing. Sorry about that. What were you saying? You were saying all I caught was I totally recommend, and then I cut the connection. Mm-hmm. Do you just want to tell me what they are? Because, like, I don't think we got time for me to go through all this stuff and try to figure out what the perks should be. All right, we'll do. Okay. Okay. All right, I'm just gonna optic on one of these anyway. Ooh. Okay. I think I'm good. I guess it can't hurt to just, you know, at least try to do the daily challenges, but don't take it seriously. You'd have to go in every day, and then you'd be, I don't know. Yeah. No, it's just I'm not gonna. I don't mind going in. No, I'm not done with multiplayer. I got my plate is full up. Yeah, there's stuff, points to earn. They're there. I'm gonna pluck them from the XP tree. I was just saying, yeah, there's definitely XP to pluck from the XP tree daily. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, mine are a little more difficult. My daily challenges are get 10 eliminations. With the Bomb Squad perk activated, get 3 eliminations. And then get a kill with a melee weapon. I mean, I'm lucky if I... Yeah. Well, that's not bad. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I go through plenty of Warzone matches and I don't kill anybody, or very few. A tall order for me. Any. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yep. Yep. True.
Use this time for some target practice. Real things coming soon. Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
Got it. Oh,
Good effort. Prep time's over. Now you deploy to the war zone. Enemies dropping into the AO.
Sure. Whatever you think. It's fine. Sure. Okay.
Moving here.
All right.
All right, soldier. Mark a drop point for your squad.
Okay.
Go get after it.
Yep.
Gas is approaching your position. Move to the safe zone.
Okay. You gonna try to land on the ground or on the tower or we're not even gonna get there? Yeah. I'm getting there, yeah. Just had to stop, float for a little bit. Alright, I'm on the...
You're clear to engage all hostiles. You're being tracked by an enemy squad. Evade and survive.
Shit. Oh, guy. Guy just ran right by me. Where are you at? No, he fucking... Outside the building? Alright, I'm just inside. Okay, here we are. Alright, the guy went... Okay. A guy walked past me and then there was an elevator shaft and he repelled up. Okay.
Moving to my mark. Moving here. Moving to my mark.
Oh, he's armored up. I almost killed him. Have a good. All right, I'm gonna try to get over to you. Okay.
Enemy airstrike in the area.
Fading fast.
Welcome to the Gulag. Fight to win redeployment.
Shit, I'm dead.
Earn redeployment or die trying.
Took a round. Throwing smoke.
Were you fighting the turtle? I don't know. I was watching a fight and it seemed like you were narrating the fight I was watching. The turtle killed somebody. Oh, that's a rarity. I'm released.
Good as new.
I won. Yeah, good question. I don't know. Think I should go there? Oh. Yeah. Oh, is this guy gonna land here? It looked like, yeah, he went down. Jumped out and... Yeah. I don't know. Interesting gun. SOG. What do you think I should do? Keep what I got, or switch out for these guys? I got a PU-21 LMG and a Krieg Yeah. I've been... Oh, I hear somebody. Oh, shit. That should... Yeah. I shouldn't have walked out. I should have just waited, but... Ah, well. Yeah, no. Yeah, we can do one more. Now I hear you. Looks like it says party status changed during search. Oh, I did get one elimination in that last match. I didn't think I killed anybody. I must have sniped either the guy in the tower or the guy who was shooting at you from that window. It must be the guy from the window, because he didn't come back. The other guy in the tower, I think he popped back up. Anyway, I didn't think I killed anybody. I must have swept up like a pound of mouse poop today in the garage. Yeah, I was working with my brother-in-law and his other brother-in-law, and we were in the garage pretty much all day, just hauling stuff out to tables on the driveway and tools, you know, all kinds of fucking quadruplicate, 50 hammers, 20 saws, 3,000 screwdrivers. And like beneath it all, once you clean some space out, there was like grass seed that I guess, you know, mouse obviously must have got into some seed, and then just mouse poop everywhere. Yeah, they love that. Yeah. Luckily, I remembered to bring my good mask, N95, because I'm reading about what's his name, Gene Hackman and his wife getting that hantavirus, which you get from like rat and mouse droppings. Like, no thanks. Yeah, you didn't hear about that? Yeah. Much out to lunch. No, I think it was mostly like outside. Like they lived in a pretty rural area, and I don't know, like if there's just so many rodents around the property or whatever. I don't know exactly how that. No one will ever know. But his wife definitely had it. She was researching, like, she thought she had COVID, but she tested negative. He tested negative, but they found out. That's why she was like, you know, kind of like really sick. She yeah, that's how she died. Hantavirus.
Feind ist tot.
So many ways to die.
Stun incoming. Grenade.
Oh, okay.
Moving here.
Okay.
Your team leader. Set a drop point for your squad soldier. Gas is closing on your position. Just hightail it out there.
All right. See if you. I see him, or is that you? That's you, yellow.
Moving to my mark. Enemy ATV here.
Eliminate all targets in the AO.
Cancel that.
Going upstairs in this building. Yes. Oh shit! I just got sniped. I was on the roof scoping around and a guy. I don't know where he was fucking at. If I had to guess, it was somewhere.
Moving.
Oh, I can't. I'm in the back of the building. I'm down. I'm outside on the ground. All right. You want to get in that tower right there?
You're losing ground. Move it.
Cancel my last.
Maybe not. Yeah. Okay. Upstairs, a bar. Sniper.
Moving here. Disregard. They tagged me.
Okay. Yeah, if you can get inside, I'm right outside. Where is he? I'm down. Okay. I'm in the gulag now.
Your squad mates in the gulag. If they survive, they redeploy.
Close. Oh, I just realized my one kill in that other match was probably the gulag win, right? Because then that count as a win. So I killed no one in the actual match. Except for the gulag. Oh. Oh yeah. I just died.
Down. It's up to you now.
Leg death.
Squad mate lost the fight. They're our team B at this time. Let's have ourselves a fight. Success means redeployment. Failure means elimination.
Yeah, I'm spectating you, yep. Yeah, that's what I had the last match too.
Molotov! War is for the warriors.
I just finished that.
We lost that one.
Defeat.
W next time.
Oh well. All good.
Inbound. Safe zone relocated.
It'll be fine. All right. Okay. So yeah, I gotta hit my daily challenges since I didn't get to any of them today. Sure. Yep. DMZ. Yeah. Sounds good. I should be there. Yeah. I'll look for you, man. Have a good night. Bye. Bye.